The following is a Ham Radio Productions podcast. Thank you for listening. Hello, I'm Ashley, the host of Through the Ham Radio podcast, a Stranger Things podcast, and I just want to say thank you and welcome to our very first episode of the Through the Ham Radio podcast. And today I thought about our first episode being something a little different than me just talking about Stranger Things. And so I thought, why don't I do a little script reading? Because, that's always fun. So, the script that I chose, and I think we'll probably do this a few more other times as well, but I chose the Montauk episode. And you're saying, what's Montauk? If you're out there wondering what Montauk is, well, Montauk was the original Stranger Things. What Stranger Things was going to be was a show called Montauk, and Montauk is actually a real place in New York. I think it's on Long Island, and they would conduct like MK Ultra experiments at the Air Force Base up there. But this is like the pilot episode of what would become Stranger Things, and to me, there's a lot of similarities between episode 1 of Stranger Things and this Montauk pilot episode. However, there are differences. So in the course of listening to this podcast, if you let me know, differences you spot, I'd be happy to know if you can spot any differences and what they are. And also at the end of this episode, which I'll also be telling you where you can contact me and my social media information and all that good stuff. And I also have it posted in the links of this episode. So, all right, let's get into it. Meat and potatoes, what you came here for. Montauk pilot, written by the Duffer Brothers. This is the beginning. Titles over black. 1942. World War II. The United States builds a military base at the easternmost part of Montauk, New York. It spans 278 acres. It is called Camp Hero. 1972. The Cold War begins. An alleged series of top-secret experiments begins to take place at Camp Hero. December 1980. Camp Hero is shut down for undisclosed reasons. To this day, its records remain classified. Exterior. Montauk sky, night. We fade up on the night sky. Dark clouds swallow the stars. We hear a low-end rumble. It sounds almost like thunder, only it is somehow alive, like the growl of an unseen beast. We tilt down to find Camp Hero military base. It is an imposing cement building in a dense forest. A long-range search radar dish rotates atop its roof, around and around. Superimposed titles. Camp Hero, Montauk, New York, October 5th, 1980, 2 months before the shutdown. Interior. Camp Hero, tunnel system, night. We move down a long windowless corridor. There is a steel door at the end. We draw closer to this door, and closer, and boom! The door suddenly explores open. The hinges shriek. A scientist staggers out into the corridor. He is gasping for breath. A hazmat suit melts off his body. We can see some skin beneath. It is burned, shredded, bloody. His entire left arm is missing. He collapses to the floor, twitches, stills, dead. His eyes remain open, frozen in a look of sheer terror. We continue past him, moving into a laboratory. A dozen more scientists lie dead on the ground. They too are burned, many also missing limbs, some heads. We survey the lab around them. There are bulky computers, mysterious analog equipment, and most striking of all, an isolation tank, an upright metal cylinder filled with water. A tangle of electric, electrical wires connect this tank to a metal door frame. The door leads nowhere. There is just empty white space behind it. The base of the door is on fire. We watch as this fire begins to spread across the lab. The flames grow hotter and hiss. Fire sprinklers kick on. Exterior, suburban neighborhood, night. Hiss. Lawn sprinklers kick back on. We are now in a 1980s suburban cul-de-sac. Quiet, calm. A row of uniform houses wind up the tree-lined street. Station wagons and other family cars fill driveways. TV sets flicker behind drawn curtains. A few dogs bark. We hear the voice of a young boy, dramatic, intense. Mike, do you hear that? Listen. We focus on a two-story house at the end of the cul-de-sac. The mailbox reads, "The Wheelers." Mike continued. Something is coming. Something hungry for blood. Interior, Wheeler's house, Mike's room, night. A group of boys, 12 years old, play Dungeons and Dragons. They sit in a circle, their knobby knees buried in carpet. A map is spread out between them, along with an empty pizza box, canned Cokes, and the all-important Dungeons and Dragons monster manual. Mike Wheeler, 12, is the dungeon master. He is a cute, moppy-haired kid, classically good-looking except for the birthmark on his left cheek. Mike. A shadow grows on the wall behind you, swallowing you in darkness. It is almost here. The other boys lean forward, riveted. We survey them. Lucas Conley, 12, playing as a knight. He is very small, but his loud mouth more than makes up for it. Dustin Henderson, 12, playing as a dwarf. He wears glasses, is overweight, not quite fat, but he'll get there someday. Will Byers, 12, playing as a wizard. Soft-spoken, gentle. Will. What is it? Dustin. The Demogorgon? Will. We're screwed if it's the Demogorgon. Lucas. It's not the Demogorgon. Mike waits for them to settle down. Then, an army of troglodytes charge into the chamber. He slams 6 winged miniatures onto the map. Their tails drum the floor. Boom, boom, boom. Dustin. Troglodytes? Lucas. Told you. Dustin. Easy. Mike looks over his shoulder. His eyes grow wide. Wait. Do you hear that? Boom, boom, boom. That sound. It didn't come from the troglodytes. No. It came from something behind them. Mike slams a large two-headed monster miniature onto the map. The Demogorgon. The boys stare. Shit. Lucas. We're all gonna die. Mike. Will, your action. Will swallows. God, he wishes it wasn't his turn. I don't know. Lucas. Fireball him. I'd have to roll. Will. I'd have to roll 13 or higher. Dustin. Too risky. Cast a protection spell. Lucas. Don't be a pussy. Fireball him. Dustin. Protection spell. Mike. The Demogorgon is tired of your silly human bickering. It steps towards you now. Boom. Lucas. Fireball him, Will. Mike. Another step. Boom. Dustin. Cast protection. Mike. It roars in anger. Lucas. Fireball. Dustin. Protection. Mike and Will. Fireball. Will rolls the dice. Too hard. The dice scatters to the other side of the room. It lands in front of the bedroom door. Lucas. What is it? Will. I don't know. Dustin. Is it a 13? Will. I don't know. The boys scramble to look at the dice when, boom, the bedroom door swings open. The doors look up to find Karen Wheeler, late 30s, Mike's mom. Short blonde hair, conservative blouse, blue jeans hiked up above her waist. Mike. Mom, we're in the middle of a campaign. Karen. You mean the end? She taps her watch. Karen continued. 15 after. Interior, Will's house, stairs, night. Mike chases his mom down the stairs. Just 20 more minutes. Karen, it's a school night, Michael, and I just put Holly to bed. You can finish next weekend. Mike, that'll ruin the flow. Karen, Michael. Mike, I'm serious, Mom. It took 2 weeks to design. How was I supposed to know it takes 7 hours? Karen, you've been playing 7 hours? They reach the living room. Mike's dad, Ted, 45, is watching Chips. Or trying to. The signal is terrible. A snowstorm of static obscures the image. He smacks the TV. Mike, Dad, don't you think? Ted, not even listening. I think you should listen to your mother. Dadgum piece of junk. He smacks the TV again. The static flares. Back upstairs in Mike's room, Lucas, Dustin, and Will stuff belongings into backpacks. Will, does the 7 count? Lucas, it was a 7? Will nods. Did Mike see it? Will shakes his head. Then it doesn't count. The upstairs hallway, moments later. Dustin and Will bound down the stairs. Lucas doesn't follow. He peers through a cracked door into Nancy Wheeler's room. This is Mike's sister, 16, girl next door pretty. She is on her bed in pajamas, a phone in hand, fingers twitching its cord, slender legs kicked in the air. Lucas angles himself in such a way that he can see Nancy in the reflection of her vanity mirror. Nancy, I know, but I don't think so. Yeah, he's cute, but Barb, listen to me. Nancy turns around on her bed, spots Lucas in the mirror. Her smile drops. The hell, Lucas? Get out of my room. She leaps out of the bed and storms over to him. Lucas, I'm not in your room. Nancy, into the phone. One of Mike's loser friends. Lucas, not technically. Wham! Nancy slams the door. Exterior, interior of the Wheelers' garage at night. Lucas explodes into the garage, excited. She knows my name! Dustin and Will are mountain bikes. Mike is seeing them off. Will. Who? Lucas. Nancy! Mike. I'm not listening to this. Dustin. She's got a boyfriend now. Lucas. Does not. Dustin. Does too. Mike covers his ears. Not listening. Will. Dustin's right. I've seen her hanging around that Steve guy. Mike. Not listening. Lucas. Steve Harrington? He's cool. Dustin. She's cool. You lost your chance. Should have gone for her when she had braces and no boobs. Lucas. I'm playing the long game. Dustin. Oh yeah, I'm sure a growth spurt will really do it for you, Lucas. The boys bike out of the garage, arguing as they go. Mike takes his hands off his ears. He can't help but smile. Then, bzzz. The light above him begins to flicker. Strange. Mike switches it off and heads back inside. We return our gaze to the light. It sputters back on, and exterior, Montauk neighborhood, night. Whoosh! The boys bike home. Their handlebar lights wink in the night. And good thing because it's dark out here. As in, very dark. Montauk is coastal, but it's more akin to living out in the country. Lucas peels off from the group. See you, ladies. Dustin, kiss your mom goodnight for me. Lucas flips in the bird and bikes up a driveway towards his 2-story house, almost identical to Mike's, a little larger. Will and Dustin bike on in silence for a beat, then Dustin continued. Race to my place. Loser gets a comic. Will. Any comic? Dustin. Yeah. Will has heard enough. He starts pedaling fast. Dustin. Shit. Dustin pedals in pursuit, but he's already behind, and a few minutes later, Will whizzes past a house at the far end of the neighborhood. He waves at Dustin, now 50 yards back. Will. I'll take your X-Men Uncanny 269. Dustin stops, out of breath. Really bummed. Man. Exterior, forest road, later. Will is not now biking along an empty forest road, all alone. He lives much further out than the rest of his friends. It is even darker here and quiet, unnervingly so. Only the sound of cicadas and a gentle breeze to keep him company. He bikes past a large metal fence. A warning sign reads, "Authorized vehicles only. No trespassing." We're near Camp Hero. Will suddenly notices something strange. The hair on the back of his arms is standing straight up. It's like he's in the middle of a massive electrical storm, and perhaps he is. A low-end rumble reverberates around him. He looks up, sees nothing but darkness, clouds over the moon. He looks back down. His eyes shoot wide. A tall figure stands in the middle of the road. Will spins the wheel, loses control. He veers off the road and explodes into the forest. The bike flies down a steep hill and crashes. Will flies off the bike. He skids, rolls, eats dirt. As he lies there on the ground, gasping for air, he hears strange guttural sounds coming from behind him. He pushes to his feet and turns to the sound. Foliage shudders. The sound grows. Something is coming. Will abandons his bike and runs. Exterior, Montauk Beach, night. Will burst out onto the beach. The wind whips his clothes. Waves crash the shore, roaring. Moments later, he rushes up a dune towards a house. His house. It is small, lower class, and falling apart after decades of abuse from the battering ocean winds, but it offers safety. Interior, the buyer's house, night. Will slams the door shut behind him and bolts the lock. A shaggy mutt, Chester, races to greet him. Will ignores him, calls for his family. "Mom? Jonathan? Mom?" There is no answer. He checks his mom's bedroom, his brother's bedroom. No one is home. He is all alone. Interior of the buyer's house, living room. Will scrambles back to the living room window. He cups his hands to the glass and peers out into the yard. It is dark, murky, quiet. A gust of wind blows and day-old laundry flutters on a clothesline to reveal that figure again, just standing there, amongst the billowing laundry. We can't make out any features, but its proportions seem off. Its head is too large, its arms too long, its body swollen and bent in a strange, twisted shape. Another gust of wind. The clothes flutter again and the figure is gone. Will pales, his heart is in his throat. Interior kitchen, moments later. Will rips a phone off the kitchen wall, dials 911, but it does not ring. It just hums with a low-end static. "Hello? Hello?" Will pauses. Hears something on the other line, but not a voice. It is that guttural sound here in the forest. The pitch rises and falls, making a series of strange sounds. Words? It is as if the figure, whatever it is somehow speaking to him through the phone receiver. Behind him, Chester begins to growl at the front door. Will lowers the phone and looks back at the door. A shadow fills the crack at the base of the door. And then somehow, impossibly, the chain bolt begins to slide open, as if drawn by an invisible hand. The metal shrieks. Will drops the phone and exterior, buyer's house, night. Boom! Will explodes out the back screen door. He sprints into an old wooden shed and wham! He slams the shed doors behind him, breathing hard, his eyes dark, searching for something. The shed is cluttered and dark, lit only by a naked light bulb hanging from the ceiling. The bulb buzzes, flickers. At last he spots it. An old Remington rifle, dusty, hanging on a wall mount. Will yanks it down, retrieves a few ammo shells from a workbench, and loads the rifle as fast as he can, which isn't very fast at all. He's so scared his hands sweat and shake. Thud, thud, thud. Heavy footsteps echo, and then guttural noises. Will looks back to the shed doors. They shudder and moan. And then, slowly, ever slowly, they begin to yawn open. Will finishes loading the rifle. He snaps the chamber shut and aims at the door. The rifle trembles in his hand. The shed doors slowly yawn open the rest of the way. It, whatever it is, enters the shed. We still do not show it in full, but we catch glimpses of it in the flickering light. Misshapen, misshapen, withered, pale, slick. Will doesn't fire. He just stares, paralyzed by fear. The hair on his arms stand up again. His eyes begin to drip blood. His ears begin to drip blood. And then his nose. He fights tears. Please! A high-pitched shrieking sound suddenly fills the shed. We don't see what happens to Will. We just watch that naked, dangling light bulb. It glows brighter and brighter and brighter, filling the shed with overwhelming white light. We think the glass of the bulb is going to shatter, but then the terrible shrieking sound abruptly stops. The bulb dims, returning to normal wattage. We pull away from the light. The shed is empty. Will has vanished. End Act 1. Act 2. Interior, Hopper's house, morning. Beep! An alarm clock blasts. A hand smashes it, shutting it up. The hand belongs to Jim Hopper, or Hop, early 40s. He is sprawled on a sofa, shirtless, wearing only a pair of worn Levi jeans. His house is a mess, cluttered with beer bottles, cigarette butts, and plastic vials. A local newsman drowns on a dusty 8-inch TV. News anchorman. Reports of surges and outages across the county. We reached out to public services and gas, and Hop sits up. A ray of sun slices through blinds, strikes him. He squints, grimaces, hungover. Exterior, Hopper's house, morning. Hopper steps out onto a decrepit porch, drags on a cigarette. His shack-like house is perched on the shore of the beach. The beach is deserted now. Tourist season has come and gone. It's a bit lonely out here, but damn if it isn't beautiful. Hop rubs his arms, getting cold now. Enough beauty for now. He flicks his cigarette to the sand. Interior, Hop's house, bathroom, a little later. Hopper studies his stubble in the mirror. Considers shaving, doesn't. Moments later. Hopper pops open a plastic vial labeled Tunol. He shakes out 2 capsules, red and blue, scoops a mouthful of water, washes them down. Bathroom a little later. Hopper showers. Water pours down his weary face. And take a quick break. I not have missing the page 15 of this script, so I will have to get that really quick. Just one moment. Thank you. Hey, sorry about that, folks. I apparently didn't print off page 15. Page. Okay. All right. We continue. Interior Hopper's house, bedroom a little later. Hopper dresses. He yanks on a pair of brown pants, a matching brown collared shirt, a belt with a holster, a 9mm Glock, and lastly, he clips on a gold badge. It reads, Montauk Police Chief. Moments later. Hopper heads out the door. We watch through the smudged window as he climbs into a Chevy Blazer police car. Mustard sides, square sirens. As he peels away, we dolly towards a framed photograph hanging on the wall. In it, a young Hopper stands with a pretty wife. He cradles a little girl in his arms. He looks like a different man. He looks happy. Exterior buyer's house morning. Silence outside the buyer's house. The wind has died down. The laundry no longer flutters. The shed is quiet. Interior buyer's house kitchen morning. Jonathan Byers, 16, Will's older brother, cooks breakfast. He is lanky with dark hair to his shoulders. He's quietly handsome, but he wouldn't believe it if you told him. Joyce. What? Where the heck are they? His mom, Joyce Byers, late 30s, races past. She wears a peach waitress uniform and too much makeup. She has a Long Island accent, which comes out even stronger when she curses. Damn. Jonathan. Check the couch. Joyce does. She finds her keys under a cushion. Thank God. She snatches them up, gives Jonathan a quick peck on the cheek, and races for the door, only to pause at the last second. She turns back to Jonathan. Will? Where's Will? Sleeping, I guess. You gotta make sure he's up, Jonathan. How many times? I'm making breakfast. Yeah, and I work 2 jobs. Only one if I'm late again. Joyce storms to Will's room, ranting as she goes. Then how will we pay the bills? You think you can feed this family working 2 nights a week at a movie house? We'll be out on the street. Interior, Dustin's room moments later. Joyce throws open the door to Will's room. Silence. Interior kitchen, moments later. She strides back over to Jonathan, worried now. Will came home last night, right? He's not in his room? He came home. Did he come home or not? I don't know. You don't know? I was at the darkroom late. I guess I lost track of time. I told you to wait up for him, Jonathan. I specifically told you. He was over at the Wheeler's house all day. I'm sure he just stayed over. Seriously, Jonathan? Seriously? I'm sorry. Damn. Joyce grabs the kitchen wall, mashes a number. Intercut with interior. The Wheeler's house, kitchen, morning. A wall phone rings at the Wheelers. It is chaos over here. Mike is grabbing syrup from a cabinet. Nancy is eating scrambled eggs. Holly, 3, is crying. Ted is watching the morning news, and now the phone is ringing. Oh, that phone. Karen answers. Holly squirms in her arms. Hello? Karen, it's Joyce. Joyce, hi. Behind her, Mike pours syrup onto his eggs. Nancy. That's disgusting. Mike. It's good. Swear. Mike squeezes some onto Nancy's eggs. What the hell, Mike? Ted. Hey, language. Karen puts the phone on her shoulder. She can't hear Joyce. Quiet! Back to Joyce. I'm sorry, one of those mornings. Will? No, just Michael. Will didn't spend the night? No. He left here a little after 8. She's worried now. He's not home? Interior buyer's house morning. Joyce tries to hide her panic. I was working late last night. I'm sure he just left early for school. Thanks, Karen. Joyce hangs up the phone. She looks scared, and so does Jonathan. He races for the door, throws on a dark coat. Joyce. Where are you going? To look for Will? Jonathan, wait. Call the school. The door slams shut. Exterior, Montauk Middle School, morning. Eep! An electronic bell blares. We are outside Montauk Public School, a quaint one-story brick building. An American flag waves in the breeze. Mike pulls up on his bike. He slots it into a bike rack. Voice. Holy shit, Wheeler! Mike looks up to find 2 older kids, James and Troy, 14, striding over to him. They're staring at his birthmark. Troy. I think it grew over the weekend. James. You really gotta get that looked at, Wheeler. Might be cancer or something like that. They laugh. Mike simply ignores them. This is a regular occurrence, and this is how he handles it, with passivity. Today, at least, it works. James and Troy shove past him. Luke pulls up on his bike, glares at the boys. Assholes. Mike shrugs it off like it's no big deal, even though it clearly is. But his mood brightens when he spots Jennifer Hayes. Freckled, cute, with a gaggle of popular friends. Lucas punches Mike in the arm. Jesus, Mike, reflections! What? Reflections. Use them, remember? You can't just stare like some creeper. I wasn't staring. The boys began to walk toward school. You seen Will around? No. Why? I don't know. His mom called this morning looking for him. I'm sure he's just in class. Yeah. Mike's gaze drifts back over to Jennifer. Lucas punches again. Reflections. Interior station wagon, school parking lot morning. Nancy gauges her reflection in the rearview mirror. She's in the driver's seats of a hand-me-down 1972 station wagon. Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen plays on the radio. She fusses over herself, carefully applying her mascara and blush, but she is unhappy with everything. The song begins to skip. The radio signal stutters. Nancy looks down at it in confusion. What the hell? A warning bell blares out of time. Damn. Exterior, Long Island High School, a few minutes later. Nancy exits the station wagon and hurries to school. Nancy wades through a bustling hallway. Barbara, 16, her best friend, braces, catches up. So, did he call? Keep your voice down. Did he? Nancy shakes her head, walks to the locker. I told you he doesn't like me. Barbara shoots her a look. Okay, I mean, yes, fine, he likes me, but not like that. Nancy silences, and then a folded note taped to the inside her locker. It is addressed Nancy. She opens it. It reads, Meet me. Girls' bathroom, Steve. Nancy looks at Barbara, speechless. You were saying, Nance? Interior girls' bathroom, moments later. Nancy slips into the girls' bathroom. It looks vacant. Boom! Someone grabs her and spins her around. It is Steve Harrington, 17, wealthy, athletic, charmed to spare. Steve! Shit, you scared me. She playfully shoves him back, but Steve just moves closer. He puts his hands on her waist and kisses her on the mouth. Steve, what are you doing? He kisses her again. Nancy blushes and shrinks away. Have you been drinking, Steve? Steve doesn't answer. He just kisses her some more. Body pressing up against hers, Nancy gives in, consumed by hormonal lust when the bell rings again. Final warning. But Steve grabs her hand, holding her back. 5 more minutes. I can't. I have Mrs. Kreitzberg first period. She always gives me a pop quiz. What about tonight? What? There's going to be a bonfire at Turtle Cove. Chrissy will be there. Donna. So will Tommy L. And Tommy H. I have a chemistry test tomorrow. What's your GPA again? 3.99999. Shut up. Come on. It'll be good times. She hesitates, wavering. Can I bring Barb? Bring Mrs. Kreitzberg for all I care. Nancy laughs. Maybe. Steve. Maybe you'll bring Mrs. Kreitzberg. Or maybe you'll come. Just maybe. Nancy hurries out of the bathroom, trying to hide her smile. Steve grins. He knows he got her. Hook, line, and sinker. Exterior, Montauk Police Station, morning. An American flag flutters in the wind, high on a flagpole. We are waiting outside the police station. It is quaint, as in really quaint. If the sign out front didn't read police, you'd probably mistake it for a gift shop. A Chevy Blazer police car squeals into the lot. Hopper exits, dragging on another cigarette, still hungover. Hopper lumbers inside, beelines for the coffee machine. Deputies Callahan and Powell look up from a game of five-card draw. Their cowboy boots kicked up on their desk. The mood here's casual, to say the least. Deputy Callahan. You look like shit, Chief. Hopper. Your wife looked worse when I left her. Hopper begins to make himself a cup of coffee. His secretary, Florence 61, approaches, pad and pen in hand. Tell your boys to get their feet off the desk. This isn't a barn. Hopper snaps his fingers. The deputy rolls their eyes, but oblige. Florence adjusts her glasses and consults a notepad. Why you were sleeping or drinking or whatever it is you deem so important on Monday mornings, Carl Blackburn came out of the office, said he saw Earl and his boys spearfishing. Hopper, won't look into it. Tell him I'll look into it. Florence. And Terry Ives called again, yammering on about some more activity last night at Camp Hero. Hopper. Tell him I've seen that Twilight Zone. No, scratch that. Don't encourage him. If he calls again, cite him for wasting my time. It is precious. Damn straight. Hopper carries his coffee to his office. Florence trails. Another thing. Joyce Byers, she can't find her son this morning. Hopper won't look into it. I'll look into it. Hopper walks into his office. He crashes to a stop. Joyce is already in his office, and she doesn't look happy. Wow, wow, wow. Type hammers, slam ink onto a police report. A single ominous word, one letter at a time, missing. Hopper looks up from the typewriter. He now has a pair of reading glasses which lend him a more earnest look. His desk, however, shatters the illusion. It's cluttered with papers and mugs and candy wrappers, like the desk of a child. Joyce paces, dragging on a cigarette. She's on edge. So far out, she might just fall right off. I've been waiting an hour, and I apologize again. A damn hour. I understand, but a boy his age, most likely he's playing hooky. Not my will, no. He wouldn't do that. He's not like that. You never know. My mother thought I was on the debate team when really I was screwing Chrissy Carpenter in the back of my dad's boat. Will's not like you. He's not like me. He's not like most. She takes another drag on her cigarette, fights tears. He's got a couple of friends, but everyone else, they make fun of him, call him names, laugh at him, his clothes. His clothes? What's wrong with his clothes? Too colorful. I don't know. What does it matter? Maybe. Joyce takes another drag. He's just different, all right? Lonnie's always said he was queer. Called him a fag. Is he? What? A fag? He's missing. That's what he is. Hopper scratches his stubble. You hear from Lonnie lately? Joyce hesitates. This is an uncomfortable subject. He was in Philly last I heard. That was about a year ago, but he's got nothing to do with this. He doesn't give two shits about that boy. Hopper rummages around his desk, unearths a pen and a pad. What's his number? I told you, Lonnie's got nothing to do with this. Kid goes missing 99 times out of 100. The kid's with a parent or a relative. What about the other time? What? You said 99 out of 100. What about the other time? The one. Hopper removes his reading glasses, leans forward. This is Montauk, Joyce. In 4 years, you know the worst thing I've seen? You know what it is? When that seagull attacked Eleanor Gillespie, thought her hair was a nest. Was about 5 seconds from shitting an egg when we showed. Hopper chuckles at the memory, trying to lighten the mood. Joyce begins to relax a little, but only a little. I'll call Lonnie. He'll talk to me before he talks to a pig cop. Joyce sits down. She shuffles her cigarette in an ashtray. Then she looks back up at Hopper. Her eyes are bloodshot, glassy. You find my son, Hop. Find him. Hopper takes this in. All at once, he feels burdened with a responsibility he doesn't want. He finds his composure, nudges his glasses back on his nose, and resumes typing. Whap, whap, whap. Hammer type slams paper. Interior, Camp Hero, subterranean, tunnel system, day. Whap, whap, whap. Shoes slam tile. 3 agents stride briskly down Camp Hero's underground tunnel. They wear clothes, gas masks, plastic overshoes. The agents enter the laboratory, or what still remains of it. Medical officers in hazmat suits place bloody body parts into plastic bags, mop up blood, and remove charred equipment. Agent 1 removes his gas mask. He has slicked back hair, piercing green eyes. Agent 2. Sir, your mask. Agent 1 ignores him. He walks over to the isolation tank. He opens its cylinder roof. A ladder slithers down into water. A tangle of wires and electrodes float onto the surface. This tank once held someone. Something? He turns back to the others. Where is 11? Agent 3. We don't know. Agent 1 considers. His gaze shifts to a surveillance camera on the ceiling. An engineer toggles through surveillance footage. The agents stand behind him, making him nervous. Engineer. Okay, this is it. Engineer hears play. Low definition video shows us the laboratory from last night. Only now we are back in time. The scientists are still very much alive, huddled around that strange metal doorframe. There is a confusion of activity. Shouting, followed by a violent burst of a light. It looks like an explosion, then hiss. Static engulfs the surveillance footage. Beneath the static, we glimpse shadowed movement, but just for a few frames. And then the static dissipates to reveal the scientist dead on the ground, blood everywhere. One of the scientists climbs to his feet, still alive. He staggers out the door and into the corridor. We're back to the beginning of our story. The video snaps to black. Engineer. There's nothing else. All the cameras, they just cut out. Agent 1. Go back 10 seconds. The engineer wipes sweat from his forehead, rewinds. Agent 1. There. The engineer pauses the tape. Go forward 4 frames. The engineer complies. 1 frame, 2, 3, 4. There is something captured on the video. It is obscured beneath static, but we see enough to know that this is the figure that Will saw last night. For the first time, we glimpse small black eyes, buried in pockets of pale, withered flesh. Agent 2. What the hell is that? A beat. 11 will know. Find her. Agent 1 strides away. The door slams shut behind him. Agents 2 and 3 return their gaze to the monitor, frightened. They're frozen in video waves and undulates, making the figure appear to bend, stutter, making it almost alive. End Act 2. Act 3. Exterior, woods, day. A young girl, 10, emerges out of the woods. She makes an immediate impression on us. Her hair is buzzed close to the scalp. Her feet are bare. Her skin is pale. She wears a tattered white hospital gown spattered with blood. She is more like a wild animal than a child. Exterior, empty road, day. The young girl pads barefoot down an empty road. She sees a rundown restaurant in the distance. A rusted sign reads, Benny's Fish and Fry. The young girl approaches the restaurant. She stands on her tiptoes and peers into a smudged window. Benny Hammond, late 40s, lumbers past the window carrying 3 plates of fish and chips. He has leathery skin, sleeve tattoos, and a greasy apron wrapped around his waist. He drops the plate off of a table of elderly regulars. They chain smoke, speak with thick Islander accents. Regular number 1. Benny, you hear about Earl and the chickens? Benny. The chickens? What chickens? Regular 2. Earl, see, he wanted to bring a crate of chickens aboard Mundo's boat. Thought it'd be a fine idea to feed them to the great whites. Benny guffaws. Regular number 2 continues his yarn. But the young girl is only interested in their food. She's starving. The girl sneaks around the back of the restaurant. There is a giant Rottweiler lying on the front of the back door. Its fat belly rises and falls. It's asleep. The girl watches it for a moment, makes sure it doesn't wake, and then sneaks inside. The young girl finds herself in a greasy kitchen. French fries sizzle in a deep fryer. Oil spits. She startles. She hurries past and pushes through a door into a rusty freezer hums against the back wall. The girl yanks back on the handle. It yawns open. Her eyes shoot wide. The shelves are packed with fresh fish. She snatches up a deep water cod, so big that she can hardly hold it in her tiny hands. She turns it over onto its side, studies it, smells it. Has she never seen fish before? She bites its fat, glistening belly and freezes again, listening. Benny. Sticking with Nara Jansen, Earl? You gotta ask. She hears lumbering footsteps. Someone is coming this way. She grabs up as many fish as she can carry, and the girl charges back into the kitchen, fish in arms. Benny spots her, shouts, "Hey!" The girl bolts for the back door. She knocks over the deep fryer and sends a rain of hot oil splashing onto the floor. Benny leaps away, narrowly avoiding the oil. Son of a... Boom! The girl explodes out the screen door and crashes to a halt. The Rottweiler stands in her path, awake. It bares its teeth and snarls angrily, and wham! Benny grabs the girl by the shoulders. Think you can steal from me, boy? Benny whirls her around. His expression promptly softens as he realizes this is no boy at all. It's also not a girl either. Not exactly. At least not like any he has ever seen. Regulars number 2, drawn by the commotion, steps inside. What you catch there, Benny? Benny looks back at the young girl. She writhes in his arms. He notices her hospital gown, spattered in blood. I got no idea. Interior, Montauk Middle School, science class, day. Mr. Clark, 30s, paces in front of a middle school class. He is magnetic, smart, handsome too. The girls ogle. Who here enjoys mysteries? All the girls immediately shoot up their hands. Most of the boys, too, including Mike, Lucas, and Dustin. Good, good. Because I want you to start thinking of this class as an investigation into the greatest mysteries known to man. You'll need to learn to think beyond your own senses. This means using your imagination. I don't know how many of you watched Cosmos like I asked. More hands. You may remember something Carl Sagan said. Imagination will often carry us to worlds that never were, but without it, we go nowhere. A sharp knocking sound interrupts. Mr. Clark turns. The vice principal is standing in the doorway. Sorry to interrupt. May I borrow Michael, Lucas, and Dustin? Chief Hopper and Deputy Callahan now step into view. The sun class looks away from the cops, or looks from the cops to our kids. Mike, Lucas, and Dustin stare. Hopper. So you were racing. Interior principal's office a few minutes later. Our three boys are now scrunched together on a couch. Hopper and Callahan sit opposite. Dustin. It was me and him, actually, Lucas. My house is the first up. Mike. He takes Mirkwood home. Dustin. We were racing on a bet, and Hopper. Whoa. One at a time, points at Mike. You said he takes what? Mirkwood. Mirkwood? To Callahan. You ever heard of him, Mirkwood? Callahan. Sounds made up. Lucas. It's from the Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit. Lucas. It doesn't matter. He asked. Hey, what did I just say? One at a time. He points at Mike. You. Mirkwood. It's a real road. It's just the name that's made up. What's his real name? I don't know. It's by Camp Hero, where Crook's Cove and Curly meet. Hop jots this information down onto his pad. Yeah, I think I know it. We can show you. I said I know it. We could help look. Hopper looks up at Mike sharply. No. After school, you go straight home. All of you. He looks at the other boys, making eye contact with each. That means no biking around looking for your friend, no investigating, no nonsense. This isn't some Hobbit book. I made myself clear? The boys share looks. I make myself clear? The boys share looks, worried, shaken by his tone. They nod. Interior, Benny's fish and fry kitchen day. Snap, hiss. An Atlantic cod, fries and oil. Benny tends it. Benny slides a plate of fish and chips to the young girl. She is seated at a table in the dining room. It is just her now. The regulars are gone. Her gown has been replaced with a fish and fry t-shirt. It drops to her knees like a dress. The young girl stares at the food with wide eyes. Benny. Figured you'd gonna eat my food anyway. Might as well eat it right. The young girl reaches out to pick up the fish, but I said right? Benny slashes hot sauce onto the fish. He nods. Okay. The girl snatches up the fish and devours it. No utensils. Your parents forget to feed you? The girl doesn't respond. Just keeps eating. That why you ran away? Still nothing. They hurt you? Nothing. And you went to the hospital, that it? But you got scared, ran off, found your way here? The girl finally looks up at Benny. Has he hit close to the mark? It seems like she is finally going to speak, but instead she nudges her empty plate over to Benny. The message is clear. More. We'll start easy. My name's Benny. Benny Henderson. He holds out his hand, wraps it around her tiny hand. Nice to meet you. And you are? Still no response. Benny sighs. He starts to withdraw his hand when he notices a small tattoo on the inside of her lower left wrist. It reads in simple black lettering, 011. 11? The young girl yanks her hand away. What's that mean? Young girl. No. Well, I'll be damned. She speaks. No, no what? Still nothing. Alright, guess no more fish then. Minnie takes her plate and starts to walk away when 11. Benny turns around. 11. Yeah, what's it mean? The young girl points to herself. 11. Benny is now on a corded phone in the kitchen, voice hushed. More food sizzles behind him. All I know is, poor thing's scared to death, confused. I'm telling you, Floor. She won't talk about her parents. She's been abused or kidnapped or something. You gotta get the chief. I don't give two shits about a missing kid. I got a found kid right here. I am calm. Yeah, I got a pen. Benny grabs a pen from his pocket, scrawls, Social Services 233-555-4176. Back in the main room. 11 waits patiently for the food. Her legs sway beneath the table, back and forth, back and forth. She becomes aware of a soft, high-pitched noise. Ee, ee, ee. She looks up. It's the screen door. The wind is gently blowing it, causing its hinges to squeak. Ee, ee, ee. It is incessant, annoying. 11 narrows her eyes and the door stops mid-swing, like it somehow froze. 11 looks away, content now. Exterior Forest Road day. Whoosh! 2 police cars speed down the road. The cars pull off into the side of the road. Hopper, Callahan, and Powell step outside. Hopper trudges down the road, searching for signs of Will. Behind him, we can see Callahan and Powell. They call out, Will Byers! Will Byers! Will! Hopper pulls a vial out of his pocket, pops 2 more of those red and blue pills, and suddenly he spots something. Kneels down. There are faint skid marks on the pavement. Too narrow for a car. A bike. He calls out to Callahan and Powell. Hey, I got something here. Hopper tracks the skid marks off the road and into the forest. Hopper makes his way down the slope. Sure enough, he finds Will's bicycle at the bottom. He brushes leaves away, revealing the front wheel. It is bent, spokes busted. Callahan and Powell scramble down after him. Shit, is that his bike, Chief? Hopper nods. Wheels busted. Must have crashed. Think he got hurt in the fall? Hopper looks back up the slope, squints in the sun. Not so hurt he couldn't make it home. And a bike to these kids, that's like a Cadillac. Doesn't make sense he'd leave it out here. He'd walk it home. He was in a hurry. Exterior Montauk Beach a few months later. Hopper and the deputies walk out onto the beach. A trail of footprints lead up a dune towards the Byers' house. Joyce paces in the kitchen, back and forth, back and forth. The wall phone is pressed hard to her ear. Its cord stretches as she walks. She drags hard on the cigarette while it rings in the other end. And rings, and click, the other line picks up. Lonnie, thank God, it's Joyce. Her face drops. A muffled female voice is on the other end. Who is this? Listens and discusses. Cynthia? This is Joyce. Joyce, Lonnie's ex-wife. I need to speak to Lonnie. This is an emergency. No, not later. Now, bitch. Click. The phone goes dead. Joyce burns with anger. She dials the number again, mashing each number with her long fingernails. The phone rings, but this time no one answers. It goes to message. Male voice. Mildred. Hey, you've reached Lonnie. I'm not here at the moment, but Joyce's rage rises and beep, her turn. Lonnie, it's Joyce. Some teenage whore saying she's your girlfriend just hung up on me. You don't call me back in the next hour, I'll report you for not paying child support. I swear to God I will. And I'll make sure you rot in jail where you belong, you piece of shit. Wham! Joy slams the phone down again and ding, ding. The phone blares again. That was fast. She answers. Lonnie? But there's no response, only static. The kitchen lights flicker, then return to normal. Joy stares. What the? Bam, bam, bam. There is a sudden pounding on the door. Joy startles. Joy swings open the door. Her face drops. It is Hopper and the deputies. Hopper has Will's bike. Hopper and his deputies search the buyer's house. Joyce trails, on edge. I don't understand. Why are you here? You're wasting your time. He's got a key to the house, Hopper asks. So what? You think I haven't checked my own house? Never said you didn't. Hopper inspects the back door. The adjacent wall is dented, the paint chipped. He opens the door. Its handle aligns with the damaged wall. Someone threw it open, hard. This always here? Probably. I've got 2 boys. Just look at this place. But you're not sure. Joyce hesitates. Starts to respond when whimpering echoes coming from outside. Hopper and Joyce step out of the screen door. They find Chester pacing in front of the shed, whimpering. This normal? Just hungry, I'm sure. Come on. Joyce leads Chester back to the house by his collar, but Hopper doesn't follow. Not yet. His eyes turn to the shed. Hopper opens the shed doors. The wood groans. Even though it is now day, it is still dark in here. Hop flips a light switch. The naked light bulb hums to life. He walks up to the rifle wall mount. The rifle is, of course, missing. He inspects the mount. There are fingerprints in the dust. Someone was here recently. Bzzz. The light bulb begins to flicker. Hopper turns and looks at the light. It fluctuates, growing bright, then dim, then bright, then dim, then boom. The light cuts out again, leaving us in darkness. We hear a faint guttural sound, like some kind of growl. Hopper looks around. What the hell is that coming from? That you, buddy? You hungry? Hopper removes a flashlight from his utility belt, clicks it on, and slowly sweeps its beams across the darkness. He makes out nothing. But that sound, whatever the hell it is, persists. It grows louder. Louder still, overtaking all sounds. The hairs on Hop's slowly stand up, and then the beam illuminates an approaching figure. Hop reaches for his gun, but Deputy Callahan steps into the light. You deaf? I've been calling you. Hopper is too shaken to respond. He looks back at the light bulb. It flickers back to life, returning to 48 watts. The strange guttural sound is gone, like it never was. Jesus, Chief, your ear. What? Your ear? Hopper touches his ear. It's bleeding. Hopper upends the vial, dumping the pills onto the ground. Deputy Callahan. You sure you're all right, Chief? I'm fine. You're not fine. He shoves the empty vial back into his pocket. He strides to the Bowers house, moving fast. Callahan struggles to keep up. Hopper. I want you to call Florence. Have her get a search party together. As many volunteers as she can muster. Flashlights, too. Think we got a problem here? Hopper doesn't answer. Uncertain. He turns and looks out at the woods. The sun is falling. The skies are bruised purple. He continues into the buyer's house. Callahan follows. But we don't. Instead, we return our gaze to the shed. We can hear that guttural sound again. Low, but definitely there. We move. The light bulb hums and flickers again, growing brighter. And that is when we see it. There's something strange on the far wall. It looks almost like a spot of black mold. Only it is throbbing ever so slightly and slowly but surely spreading into Act 3. Begin Act 4. Exterior, suburban neighborhood, night. Yes. A sprinkler kicks on. Night in the suburbs again. Mike. We should be out there right now. We should be helping look for him. The Wheeler family is seated at the dinner table. A hot, home-cooked meal is before them, but Mike isn't eating. Karen. We've been over this. The chief said, I don't care what the chief said. Michael, he's not even real police, Mom. We have to do something. Will could be in danger. More reason to stay put. Mom, end of discussion. Mike looks away, upset. The family resumes eating in silence. Or rather, some of them do. Nancy just moves her food around with a fork. Then, in as usual, a tone of she can summon. So, me and Barb, we're going to study for the chemistry test at her house tonight. That's cool, right? Karen looks up from her meal. No, not cool. What? Why not? Why do you think? Am I speaking Chinese in this house? Until we know Will's okay, no one leaves. So we're under house arrest. Don't be dramatic, Nancy. This is such bullshit. Ted. Language. Barb lives 2 minutes away. Just because Mike's stupid friend got lost on his way home. This is Will's fault? Nancy, take that back. No. You're just pissed because you want to hang out with Steve. Steve? Who is Steve? Her new boyfriend. F you, Mike. Language. Nancy shoves out of her chair, storms off. Karen. Nancy, come back. Nancy! But Nancy is already bounding up the stairs to her bedroom. Karen wants to follow her, but can't. The argument has caused Holly to cry. Karen picks her up and rocks her in her arms. There, shh. Ted. See, Michael, this is what happens. What happens when what? I'm the only one acting normal here. I'm the only one who cares about Will. Ted takes a bite out of his chicken drum. Chews. That's not fair, Michael. We care. Mike stares at his dad. He can't take his apathy. Not tonight. He stands up from the table and hurries off. Holly cries louder. Ted continues to chew. Karen shoots daggers at him. I hope you're enjoying your chicken, Ted. She carries Holly out of the room. Ted's alone now. Hey, what did I do? Karen. Exterior, woods, night. A constellation of flashlights glimmer in the night. Over 24 search and rescue volunteers are scouring the forest for Will. They wear orange vests, grave expressions. We find Hopper. Mr. Clark walks at his side. Mr. Clark. He's a good student. Hopper turns, surprised this man is speaking to him. What's that? Will. He's a good student. A great one, actually. I can't fathom him getting into any kind of trouble. Hopper nods, looks away. Mr. Clark offers his hand. I don't think we've met. Scott Clark. I teach at Montauk Middle, Earth and Biology. Hopper shakes his hand, then averts his gaze. I always had a distaste for science. Maybe you had a bad teacher. Mrs. Ratliff was a nasty piece of work. Ratliff? You bet. She's still kicking around, believe it or not. Oh, I believe it. Mummies don't die, or say so they tell me. Mr. Clark smiles softly. So are you local? Class of 58. 62. Just missed each other. They walk for another beat. Hopper seems lost in thought. Sarah, my daughter, the galaxies, the universe, whatnot, she always understood that stuff. Maybe she got it from her mother. I don't know. There's enough shit down here, I guess. There's enough shit down here. I don't need to go looking elsewhere. Your daughter, what? Excuse me. Your daughter, what grade is she in? Maybe I'll get her in my class. She lives in the city with her mother. Oh. Hopper slaps Mr. Clark on the back. Thanks for coming out, Teach. Appreciate it. Hopper picks up his pace, leaving Mr. Clark behind. A nearby volunteer whispers to Mr. Clark. She passed a few years back. Sorry? His kid. Mr. Clark darkens. He looks back at Hopper. He is a distant silhouette now. Interior Mike's room, Wheeler's house at night. Demogorgon gazes at us. 4 angry eyes. Mike is lying down by the Dungeons and Dragons map. He looks worried and restless. He examines the field of miniatures. The troglodytes, the knight, the dwarf, and the wizard. He picks up the wizard, studies it, considering. Lucas, Mike, voiceover. Lucas, it's Mike. You copy? Lucas? Mike is now at his desk, calling into a walkie-talkie. Lucas finally answers. His voice crackles. Hey, it's Lucas. I know it's you. And say over when you're done talking or I don't know you're done. Over? I'm done. Over. I'm worried about Will. Over. No shit. This is crazy. Over. I was thinking. Will could have cast protection last night, but he didn't. He cast fireball. Over. What's your point? Over. The point is, he could have played it safe, but he didn't. He put himself in danger to help the party. Over. A very long beat. Then, Lucas. Meet me in 10. Over and out. Mike jams a few flashlights into his backpack. Mike sneaks downstairs. The stairs moan. He peeks into the living room. His dad is once again fidgeting with the television. The picture fluctuates with static. He pounds the side of the box in anger. Mike hurries past, unnoticed. Mike wheels his bike out of the garage. Wham! A shadowed figure suddenly drops down behind him. He startles, but it's only Nancy. She climbed down a stair pipe. Jesus! How'd you get down here, freak? Or how'd you get out here, freak? The back door. Nancy looks back at the drain pipe. Shit. Back to Mike. You're not looking for Will, are you? You're not seeing Steve, are you? A beat. Don't tell Mom. You don't tell Mom. Mike spits in his hand, holds it out. That's disgusting. The station wagon flashes its lights up again. A signal. Barb's here. I gotta go. Don't do anything stupid. You have to shake on it or it doesn't count. Nancy! But Nancy's already gone. She climbs into Barbara's car. Mike wipes the saliva off in his jeans, climbs on his bike, and pedals off into the night. Above him, a street lamp flickers. Exterior, Benny's fish and fry, night. A light flickers inside the fish and fry. Benny glances at the light, then returns to cleaning dishes. 11 sits cross-legged on the floor. She is feeding his Rottweiler strips of raw fish. They're best friends now. Make sure he doesn't get any bones now. Don't want him to choke. 11 feeds the dog one last strip of meat. The dog gobbles it up, then licks her on the lips. She recoils, then smiles. For the first time this day, she seems like an actual kid. Benny notices, knocks off the faucet. The smile looks good on you. 11 stares at him, confused. A smile? Benny gives a big smile. 11 smiles back. Good. Yeah, it is good. She shakes her head. No. Then she points at him. Good. Me? Benny can't help but chuckle. I know a few ladies who'd beg to differ. Benny rolls up his sleeve. There are names tattooed on his arm. Sharon, Betty, Carol Ann. His exes, mostly. 11 points at a male name. Tommy. Brother. Benny stares. His heart skips a beat. His voice catches. What did you say? Little brother. 11 smiles again. Benny does not. He is flustered and confused. He finally starts to speak when he hears the sound of tires on gravel. Headlights sweep past the window. 11 tenses, nervous. Just stay put. Whoever it is, I'll turn him away. Alright? Benny lumbers into the dining room. He opens the front door. A red-haired woman, 40, approaches. She smiles warmly. You must be Benny. Benny Henderson? Afraid so. Also afraid we closed shop early tonight. Why don't you try back tomorrow? Benny tries to start to shut the door, but the woman extends a hand. Connie Fraser, Social Services. Benny stops, opens the door back up, embarrassed. Social Services. Shit. Apologies. He takes her hand. His grip is firm. Didn't think you were gonna make it here so quick. That's a heck of a drive. Not too bad this time of night. Benny nods, lowers his voice. Listen, I still haven't told her about you. I didn't want her running off again. She's a tad skittish. Children I work with usually are. Smiles. Where's she now? In the back. I'll introduce you. Benny turns and lumbers toward the kitchen. Apologies again for trying to turn you away. It's funny, your voice, it sounded different on thee. A hole suddenly erupts in Benny's forehead. Blood sprays. His body goes limp, and he crashes to the ground with a heavy thud. A pool of blood spreads from the wound on his head. His body twitches, then stills. He is dead. Behind him, Connie holds a silencer pistol. A group of armed men sweep into the door behind her. These aren't social workers. These are agents. 3 armed agents sweep into the kitchen. 2 more enter from the back door. Woof! The Rottweiler suddenly explodes out of shadows and lunges at them with an angry roar. Agent 1 fires and pop! Drills the dog's head. It skids to the floor, dead. Agent 1 quietly surveys the kitchen, looking for 11. His eyes looking onto the storage closet. A dim shadow moves beneath the door. He makes a hand signal, alerting the others. Guns raised. All this caution for one little girl? They take 1 step towards the closet. 2 steps. 3. 4. Agent 1 holds up his hand. The others stop. His eyes fix on the hinges of the door. Impossibly, the metal is pushing outward, bending, as if the door is working under immense pressure. Agent 2. 11. Boom! The door explodes, blowing right off its hinges. The door slams into the agents, knocking them down like bowling pins. Their guns scatter across the floor. Wood shrapnel hits Agent 1 in the face, tearing his left cheek open. He falls to the ground with a pained scream, and 11 bursts out of the closet, her eyes dark. She spots the dead dog, then Benny. Tears spill down her cheeks, mixing with the blood. She looks back at the agents, rolling on the floor in pain. Bad. And then she turns and runs. End Act 4. Begin Act 5. Exterior, Montauk Beach, Turtle Cove, night. A bonfire rages on the beach. Flames lick the sky. A group of high school students are silhouetted against the fire, drinking, smoking, various substances, screwing around. Call Me by Blondie blasts from an idling pickup truck. We find Nancy and Barbara in the crowd. They look out of their element, bobbing awkwardly to the tune. Nancy takes a sip of her beer, grimaces, not a drinker. She holds the beer out for Barb. Barb weighs it off. I don't see him. We should go. We just got here. Relax. Nancy motions to Tommy H., 16, heavy-set, scraggly half-beard. What about Tommy H.? Ew. Oh, come on, he's cute. And I heard he broke it off with Carol. Nancy shrieks as a pair of hands snatch her from behind. It's Steve. Of course it's Steve. His eyes are bloodshot and flagging. He's drunk or stoned or both. Probably both. Where's Mrs. Kreitzberg? Shut up. Steve grabs her hand and pulls her away. Where are we going? You just got here. Steve! Steve! But Steve doesn't stop. He breaks into a sprint, dragging Nancy with him. She laughs giddily, her hair blowing in the wind. She glances back at Barb with a wide-eyed smile. Sorry. Barbara sighs. All alone now. She looks down at her watch and waits. Exterior Forest Road into neighborhood, night. Mike looks at his watch, waiting. He hears voices. He looks up to find Lucas and Dustin biking his way. They pull up next to him. What happened to 10 minutes? Lucas. Parents are watching MASH. No way past. Dustin. Same. Mike passes Dustin a walkie-talkie. Stay on channel 6 just in case, but no splitting up or anything stupid like that, okay? Dustin nods. Okay. Mike climbs onto his bike. Lucas, where are we going? Mirkwood. And with that, Mike pedals out of the neighborhood. Lucas and Dustin share worried looks and then race after him. Exterior, Montauk Beach, Turtle Cove, night. Steve and Nancy race across the moonlit beach. The bonfire burns dimly behind them. Far away now. Nancy is out of breath. Steve, can you just tell me where we're going? Steve! Right here. Steve shoves Nancy onto his sand dune. She shrieks, laughs. Steve drops on top of her, begins kissing her all over. Nancy is overwhelmed. Her laughter fades. Steve, hey, can we just talk for a second? Steve starts to pull her sweater off. She tries to stop him, but it's too late. He tosses the sweater off into the sand. Nancy covers her bra with her arms, shy and cold. It's freezing. Steve isn't listening. He unbuttons her jeans and yanks them down below her waist. Nancy's breathing quickens. Her heart pounds. Steve removes a condom from his pocket. Steve, I've never... Steve still isn't listening, or doesn't care. He tears open the condom wrapper. Their silhouetted bodies writhe in the moonlight. Waves crash the shore. An explosion of laughter. A very drunk Tommy H. is urinating into the raging bonfire. Smoke coughs. Coals sizzle. Everyone thinks this is hilarious. Everyone but Barbara. She stares in disgust. Barbara charges down the beach. Calls out into the darkness. Nance! I'm leaving! Nance! No answer. Screw it. Barbara storms back to her car. It's parked on an empty road. Barbara leans in, turns the keys. The engine revs, coughs. Come on, come on. Barbara turns the keys again, and the radio blasts to life. Barb nearly jumps out of her seat. The radio begins to cycle rapidly through the stations. The songs are warped, garbled, staticky. The speedometer rises and falls. The blinkers flash. The dashboard lights stutters. Barbara looks down. Her arm hairs are standing straight up. She quickly shuts off the engine and everything stops, returning to normal. Barbara stares in confusion, breathing hard, and smash! The windows behind her shatters. She screams and exterior Volkswagen night. The VW headlights grow brighter and brighter, so bright they blind our vision. We hear a shrieking sound, pitched so high it's almost painful. Just when we think we can't take it anymore, the sound fades. The headlights flicker and dim. The station wagon is empty. Barbara has vanished. Exterior Forest Road, night. Vroom! Jonathan rides the moped up to his house. He dismounts and bounds up the porch. As he does, we turn our gaze to the shed. Chester is once again pacing by the door. Back and forth, back and forth, back and... Jonathan swings open the front door. He finds his mom sitting cross-legged on the floor. She is working on a missing persons poster for Will. Bold red letters read, "Have you seen me?" Photographs of Will are strewn across the floor. Joyce looks up at Jonathan, bleary-eyed. Anything? Jonathan shakes his head. No. You? Hopper's out looking. A bunch of people are, but... Joyce fights back tears. Returns to the photographs. Jonathan sits down beside her and looks over the photographs. They have been artfully taken by him over the years. There is a photo of Will building a sandcastle, riding a raft, eating a hot dog at Coney Island, visiting the city. Jonathan fights back tears. His voice emerges low, choked. I'm sorry. Sorry? What are you sorry for? Jonathan says nothing. Doesn't feel he needs to. Joyce takes his hand, squeezes it. Hey, this wasn't your fault, baby. You hear me? You hear me? Jonathan averts his gaze. He's gonna come home soon. I know it. I know it because I feel him. I feel him in my heart, Joyce says. He's close. He's close. You believe me, Jonathan, right? Excuse me. Jonathan finally looks at his mom and nods. Joyce smiles faintly. She holds up a pair of photographs, one in each hand. Will is on the raft. Will at Coney Island. What do you think? Jonathan considers. Chooses Coney Island. I always liked this one. Joyce smiles softly. Me too. An emotional beat. Then the kitchen phone blares to life. Jonathan and Joyce look up sharply. News. Joyce grabs up the phone. Her voice tense, strained. Yes, hello? There's no answer, but she can hear the sound of low breathing on the other end. Lonnie? Hopper? Still no answer. Who is this? Jonathan stands up, getting worried now. The sound of breathing grows louder. Who is this? Answer me. At last we hear a voice. It sounds very far away. It is the voice of a boy. Mom? Joyce pales. Tears rush to her eyes. Will? Will! Jonathan races over to his mom. Where are you, baby? Talk to me. Will? Will? But Will's voice is gone now. In its place, another voice. Guttural, inhuman, shifting in pitch. Who is this? What have you done with my baby? What have you done? Silence. Then a high-pitched shriek erupts from the receiver. Joyce gasps in pain and drops the phone. She looks at her hand. Her palm is seared and her arm hair standing straight up. She backs away from the phone, her eyes wide with dread. Jonathan grabs up the phone. His voice shakes. Who is this? Who is this? But the phone line is now dead. Joyce slumps down to the floor. She begins to sob. Voice, prelap. Help! Exterior unknown, night. Barbara stumbles out onto the beach. Her face is pale and blood pours from her nose and ears. She crashes to a halt, looks around for help, desperate. But there is no bonfire, no kids, no party. Yet somehow, impossibly, she can hear the sound of music, of kids talking, laughing, only it all sounds far away, like a distant memory. A dense fog has drifted in from the Atlantic, and the waves roll in slowly, much slower than normal, as if the world now moves at quarter speed. The wet sand is covered in more of those strange, throbbing growths, and the sky is shrouded in dark clouds. Electric blue lighting flashes, streaking the sky, and Barbara hears something wet, guttural. She turns and pales, obscured beneath the fog, a horde of shattered figures, tall, disfigured. One of them walks on all fours. They are coming this way, coming for her. She screams and exterior, Mirkwood later. Whoosh! Our boys bike onto Mirkwood. They scan the trees, calling out, Will! 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 Dustin. I've got your uncanny 269. There was no response but the chirp of cicadas. They bike on in silence for a little while. Lucas grows impatient. Excuse me. Why are we even here? My mom says there's a whole search party. Mike. But they don't know Will, and he doesn't know them. He knows us. So what if he's scared and a shadowed figure suddenly appears in the middle of the road, racing across the pavement, racing right for our boys. Mike's eyes shoot wide. He spins the wheel to the left too fast. He loses control, skids. Dustin and Lucas crash into him. They all tumble and, boom, slam onto the pavement. They roll to stop. Dirk coughs. Lucas. What was that, Mike? Mike doesn't respond. Instead, he climbs to his feet, turns around, and looks back at the darkened room behind them. The shadow figure is standing there, staring right at him. Mike is wide-eyed, scared. Slowly, very slowly, he raises his flashlight and aims it at the figure. The beam illuminates. A young girl, bald head, wide eyes, fish and fry t-shirt. 11. She looks at Mike. He looks at her. Their gaze holds a beat, and then a low growl rumbles. Mike hears it. He looks up at the night sky. Interior Byers' house night. Joyce and Jonathan hear it too. They look out the window with their tear-stained eyes. Exterior woods night. Hopper's radio crackles to life. Callahan, filtered. You hear that, Chief? Hopper doesn't respond. His eyes fixed on the sky. You follow his gaze, rising up over his head, and up over Camp Hero Base, and up over the shadowed trees, and up to the dark silhouetted skies, clouds in the sky above. A low growl rumbles, just like in the opening scene. But this time, it grows louder and louder, shaking our eardrums. An electric blue light flashes behind the clouds. The storm is no longer coming. It's here. End episode. Okay, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed acting it out, and I hope that you were able to spot some differences, because there's quite a bit of differences in the Montauk pilot episode than in episode 1 of Stranger Things, and obviously the show is completely different from this script, but I want to do it because I don't really think Montauk is as well known as the original plan for Stranger Things, but there were some parts in there where I can definitely see why Netflix did not want to pick the show up for that, and also the language. Pretty rough. So on some portions, a lot of F-bombs drop. We certainly don't get a lot of those on the show, and so I don't like the F word, so I'm not going to say it. And I don't want this podcast to be very vulgar, all the time. So that's what I did for that. But I hope I've got some other scripts from Stranger Things that I do want to read, post as episodes, and that they're going to be my favorite Stranger Things episodes. I'm really excited about that. But I hope you really enjoyed this, and remember to subscribe to this podcast. And you can follow me on social media. I have social media. Instagram is Ashley's Edits 02. It's just all, no apostrophes, anything like that. Just ASHLEYSAEDITS 02 on Instagram. I'm on Twitter at Through the Ham Radio. I think my handle is at _ham_through. And then on Reddit, I'm also on Reddit at _ham_radio. So you can of course, follow me there. But I'll have all these links to my social media pages in the description of this video, and also on YouTube. Ashley's edits on YouTube as well. So again, I want to thank everyone for listening. Again, I had so much fun recording this as my very first podcast episode. And again, I apologize for it'd be kind of a rough cut because it's the first time I've ever done this, and it's just me producing this, and I'm pretty new to podcasting, so but I'm thinking for our next episode 2, be discussing some Stranger Things 4 theories that are currently out there, and others that I have, and which ones I think are spot on and which ones are not. So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully you'll be around for that, and until then, thanks for tuning in, and over and out.